YouTube, what's up? Welcome to another video. Today, Stark and I have some spooky stories to tell you. I've had a lot of paranormal experiences, so I'm only going to share like 3 in this video. But if you want to get a little creeped out or just want to know what kind of weird stuff happens to me, then keep watching. So this first story is probably the first paranormal experience I ever had, and I wasn't old enough to remember it at the time, but my parents have told it to me over and over again to the point where it's engraved in my memory. And I was around 2.5 years old at the time, so my brother had just been born, and I was looking through pictures that we had just developed from the day he was born at the hospital. And this one picture I was looking at was of my mom holding my brother in the bed, and the staff who helped deliver him were around her. And I kept insisting that there was a lady in white missing from the picture, and my mom was super confused.
Oh, what do you mean?
Because like I said, the pictures with the staff, and since they were delivering a boy that day, they were all wearing blue scrubs. So nobody was wearing white in that picture, yet I kept insisting that she was missing. And I even told her that she was standing right next to her when the picture was taken, and my mom was obviously freaked out, and honestly I would have been freaked out too. But I have a theory as to who the woman in white was. So my great-grandma passed away when my grandma was really young, and my grandma told me that she used to see her all the time, like after she had already died. And she said that the last time she ever saw her was after my mom was born and let out her first cry. And then after that, like, she was just gone. And I feel like the lady that I saw in the hospital room that day was my great-grandma visiting her first grandchild, just making sure that she's okay and watching her have another child, you know, just to be there. And honestly, I think she was probably there when I was born too, but clearly as a newborn, I am not going to be able to tell my mom or remember that she was there. This next story actually takes place in a hospital too. And it's more cute than creepy, and it's not necessarily paranormal, but I feel like it's way more than just a coincidence, so I'm throwing it in this video too. But anyway, my grandpa went into the hospital for an aneurysm when I was a freshman in high school, and it was around late November, and unfortunately he never made it out. He passed away in the hospital on Super Bowl Sunday. So he was there from November to early February, which is a lot of time to be in a hospital. So obviously we were visiting him at any chance we could get. And something that would happen to me a lot is I would see a Diet Coke in the restroom, which probably sounds weird, but I would be washing my hands, and in the mirror I would see behind me, either on top of the little napkin thing or balanced on top of the trash can, would be a Diet Coke bottle. And it's funny to me because my grandpa loved Diet Coke. The 2 things he drank the most were coffee and Diet Coke. So to see that there just reminded me of him. And there was a point where we thought he was getting better because most of the time he was there, he was unresponsive. So at this point he was writing, and he couldn't talk or move much, but he was writing, and one of the notes he wrote was asking for Diet Coke. And when he was taken off life support, they pressed a sponge to his lips that was soaked with Diet Coke, and it was the last thing he ever tasted. So for me to see that in the hospital kind of warmed my heart, because it felt like even though he couldn't actually talk to me in his hospital room and couldn't move, it was a sign that he was reassuring me and saying hi when he couldn't actually do it in person. Now, the last story I have for y'all today is the first paranormal experience I ever had in this house, And it actually happened right in this hallway, so if anything happens on camera, sorry. So I was sitting at my table, which is right over there, and I will try to include some footage of how it looks. But it was not that long after we had moved in. So my little brother still had his own room because my stepbrother was kind of just settling in because he didn't live with us before. And I was babysitting my brother, so I was sitting here because I was keeping an eye on him while he played in his room. He was around 5 years old at the time, so I was just popping in every once in a while and listening to make sure he was fine. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a shadow go down the hall, which is this hall right here. I didn't think much of it because at the time we didn't have a fence and we have big windows here, so I figured there was like a dog or a bird or something passing by the window that caused the shadow, or maybe it was my stepbrother's cats who were still indoors at the time. And this was way before I had my cat. So I figured it was one of those things and just let it go. But what terrified me is that not even a minute after that happened, my little brother comes out of this room right here and in the most chill way possible tells me, "Oh, I don't want to play in there anymore. There's a ghost." Bitch, what the fuck? Obviously, I was terrified, so I pick him up and run to my room and I'm like, we're staying here until somebody else comes home because I am not ready to deal with ghosts. But since then, a lot more stuff has happened to me and I'm kind of used to it at this point, which is why I can sit here and talk about this in the very hall that it occurred in.
I was actually terrified.
So if you want to know those other stories and find out why I'm the reason for the ghost in my house, then you should like this video and comment a ghost emoji. Also, if you have your own paranormal experiences to share, DM them to me on Twitter, which is in the description, or comment them below because I love hearing paranormal experiences. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you want to hear more of these kinds of stories or just want to know what else I'm going to be posting about, subscribe and I hope to see you in my next video.